to another review, this time for the Storm Night Road. Get right into some shots here. We are on the burn from my Supernova review, so nothing but solid ASIMs going on the ball, or going in the lane rather, for a solid half hour. So this ought to be interesting, but if you don't know by now, these are not my first shots with this ball. I have thrown it a couple of times in league, and it is exceptionally clean and smooth, which been a little hard for me to figure out, if I'm being honest. We'll make a little move off of that 4-pin, maybe 3 and 2. And I pinched that off a little bit and it went. So I was pretty in with the solids towards the end of the Supernova review, and it seems I may have shimwrecked myself, so in for a long one today. But as I was saying, so the Night Road for me, when I saw it come out, I was very excited because it reminded me of the High Road X, which was a slightly stronger cover formula than what was featured on any of the High Roads that were current. And I actually drilled 3 of the High Road X, so I had one, threw it till it quit hooking, drilled another one, threw it till it quit hooking, drilled another one, then I got discontinued while I had that one. So very, very high likelihood I might have had more than 3. The Night Road certainly probably a pretty close strength-wise. You know, something with a 257 RG just isn't going to mid-lane a lot. So they honestly hook in about the same spot. Me and this Rex Pearl cover stock have had a bit of a rocky relationship. Although this one looks really good early. For me, the dart code just wasn't something that I used very much. It was a little bit too sharp if I tried to play shallower angles or a little bit straighter. And if I tried to go in and really open them up, it wouldn't really get around the corner or up the hill. So I've kicked around drilling another one. That one was pinned down. And I've changed my fit and a couple of things since then. So certainly might see a new dart code in the future. So we'll try to put one more in that same spot before we start chasing it left here. Now on the other side of the spectrum, the Infinite Physix, which not too dissimilar from the dart code in that they both have a large asymmetrical weight block with relatively close numbers. The Infinite Physix has been one of my favorites. I've got 2. I've alternated which one is in my league bag, but they are usable on a house shot with a little bit of polish. When they were hooking a little bit more, I could throw my up one with some polish, get it to the friction a little quick, and let it hook stop off of it. We've got a little more puddle in the middle now, so I need the down one. The down one with a little polish lets me sort of blend out that wet dry. So we'll go a little left here. I know I blew a 7-pin there. We're gonna go 3 and 2. Try to throw this one a little better. So good shot there. It looks good once I've really beat them up with the solid ASIM balls. All 3 at about maybe somewhere between 1,000 grit and 2,000 grit. So we'll put another one there, but so as I was saying, the Rex Pearl, you know, the Night Road might be the tiebreaker for me on whether or not I end up being a big fan. And again, the jury's probably still out on the dart code. I wouldn't be opposed to drilling another one. If I find that I have a gap in my bag like that, in that spot. But so far so good with the Night Road. Aside from the High Road X, I am a big High Road fan. The High Road Pearl, I've got one that's probably got 200 games on it in my bag. I brought it up here today for comparison. It is a little bit stronger pin. This Night Road, as you saw, is a 5 1/4 inch pin to PAP. The High Road Pearl is probably closer to 4 1/2. The reason for that is this Night Road cover stock is significantly stronger than the R2S Pearl that's on the High Road Pearl. And we'll go left again. Let's go another 3 and 2. Little behind the head pin there, not my best shot. The High Road Pearl on that little bit stronger pin gives me something a little smoother for when they're hooking. It's clean and smooth. Again, that's what I see out of the Night Road, but the cover formula is stronger, so it demands a little bit less friction, which is a little bit of an oddball spot to have a clean and smooth ball. Now it looks great. Now it looks great today. Again, I have beat them up a little bit, so that friction in the front, this inverted FE weight block with that RG of 257 is having no issue clearing that, getting this ball through that early friction, and it's retaining energy. So we'll put a couple more in that area. And I must have backed off the speed that time. It did feel a pinch slow, but that one really read up. And that shot right there is kind of the difference between the High Road Pearl and the Night Road for me, is if I'd done that with the High Road Pearl, it would have sat there and maybe 4 pin, probably still held in, at least at the pocket. Where this one broke loose because that cover formula is so much stronger. REX has a nano additive in it, so it does get some traction in the mid lane and back end. So it does tend to hook twice a little bit. For me, at least so far, I can see this ball being really good on wood lanes when they're fresh. Maybe even on wood lanes for like a whole 3-game league set. If you've got, you know, some wood at your home center, or you bowl on wood regularly, maybe in your area. Something like this is really, really good because it battles that friction in the front part of the lane so well. And those old wood surfaces tend to have a lot of natural friction in that front 15 feet. Overall, looks pretty good. The balls to compare today, I brought my pin down Infinite Physix that's been in my league bag this season so far. And as previously mentioned, I brought that High Road Pearl that's been sort of my, you know, 4-ball spot for, gosh, I don't know, 2 years, year and a half, 2 years. So let's go a little more left here, maybe soften up a pinch. We'll go 2 and 1. And that one almost got there. Picked up in the right spot, but labored just a little bit off of the spot there. Not a super strong ball. The cover can handle some oil, but I do think it needs to have some friction, whether that's in the lane surface or whether that's on something maybe that's, you know, a little more clipped where you've got some friction to the right to throw to. So me, I roll it heavier. I know that might be a little bit of a red flag for some people here, in that you're going to throw a clean, whippier ball on the wet dry, when most people try to blend out the wet dry. But for me, I can take a ball like this and use my hand to control the friction. So roll it a little more, reduce that axis rotation, decrease that change of direction. And have something that stores a lot of energy and thereby catches a lot of hits as well. You don't necessarily want maximum energy storage all the time. Sometimes it is good for that ball to bleed off a little bit. Technically, the more energy the ball stores, the higher percentage it has to carry, but If it's storing energy, then you're going to have very little room to miss. If it's bleeding off and giving you a little bit bigger pocket, you're probably going to have a better day on the lanes than if it's storing a ton of energy and striking every time you throw it perfect. But you're getting maximum penalty every time you don't. I kept that one in a little bit. It drove really well, so we're going to shut the angles down a little bit. That's impressive that it was in the puddle a little bit and got through there. Again, they are a little beat up. But that didn't just pick up and get there. It ran them over. So let's move the feet one right. Square it up just a pinch. And that's really nice. So not exactly High Road X vibes for me, honestly. The formula on the High Road X was weaker overall, so it wasn't great across the puddle. For me, the High Road X was nice if I could keep it on the oil line and consistently pretty close to the friction, because that smoother, polished, solid cover would blend it out some. But like I said, my ball roll lets me control that sort of cliff enough that it was just a really good way to have a big pocket and a really high carry percentage. And that one was dirty. So this Night Road is looking really good so far. First, we'll go to the comparison with the Infinite Physix. These have the same cover stock. This Infinite Physix does have some games on it, but you'll see right away the Infinite, much stronger, much torquier, especially when there's a little bit of friction in the front when they're a little beat up. I don't suspect this will look very good. We're going to try to put it close to that same spot, but I see this running off. And that just picked up and took off. So that inside line where the Night Road placked a couple corners and missed that spot a little bit, the Infinite's able to pick up there and get to the pins and go high flush. So I'm trying to put the Night Road right there so we can see the difference. And I backed off the speed on that one a little bit and it just dove. Again, that core wants to store so much energy and spin for so long that when it does see friction, it does want to go. But for me, on something like this where there's sort of spots where the ball will hook, it makes it a little bit touchy with the speed. So we'll try to firm up a pinch, put it in that same spot. So that one later in whippier, it didn't spin up in the same spot as the Infinite, but they both did get there. So let's go another zone left. I'm a little bit surprised. Go, I don't know, 5 and 2. So for me in there, I tend to naturally want to gear down when I get in that spot and give it time to read across the middle. Being that deep and having to throw it hard is not something that I see a lot. We'll put the Night Road in that same spot. See what we get. And mixed them out, but did push through it. So that high RG and that pearl cover looking really good. That's about the spot that I finished the Supernova gem comparison. So it is beat up. You know, it did get 5 or 10, you know, shots. There's 4 or 5 comparison shots in that video. So it's 8 or 10 total shots with these 1000 grip balls. So one more with the Infinite. But I think we can see they're not really close. The Infinite spins up so much earlier that sometimes they'll happen to be usable in the same spot. But it's gonna be a good 1-2 punch if you can use an Infinite on your fresh house shot, because you can ball down and stay in the same cover. So you'll get a really familiar read, really familiar shape, with a lot more energy stored once they do start to hook and open up, where that Infinite starts to, you know, get a little flat or get a little early. So one more with the Night Road against that, and then we'll go to the Hyro Pearl. I kept that one in a little bit, and it did not see it, which is not surprising because it is the cleaner of the two balls, the weaker of the two cores. So, we'll get into this High Road Pearl here now. Now, do I think that the Night Road is going to be a High Road Pearl replacement? Definitely not. I think the Night Road cover is strong enough that there's probably room for both of these in your bag. And we'll go smidge right here. And that one just got there, so we'll put the Night Road, try to put that in a similar spot, a little further right down the lane than I was intending. And the Night Road a little bit earlier. All right, so I'm gonna go back right even a little more, because that's where this High Road Pearl shines for me, is when there's a bunch of friction. He said, as it way overhooks. So we'll go back to that spot left and try to throw a couple on top of each other and get an idea of the shape difference. That one a pinch inside of the last one. I'm not sure the High Road Pearl would have picked up in there. And when I say I'm not sure, I mean I have no idea, because they're a little bit chewed up right now from all the solid balls going down the lane earlier. So it may have seen a spot and overhooked, or it may have not seen a spot and pushed through where the puddle is supposed to be. And undoubtedly was before I started reviewing balls today. That one a little straighter through the front, and it did sit there and go flush. So not necessarily a huge strength difference right now because there is so much friction, but certainly a shape difference. You can see the Night Road mid lane a pinch more. Again, that High Road Pearl is a straight reactive pearl formula on that cover stock, that R2S Pearl. And it is substantially weaker than this REX Pearl. So we'll try to do that again here. So there you have it, the all-new Storm Night Road. I'm really excited about this one. It reminds me a little bit of that High Road X, which I was a really big fan of as far as hook potential. The shape is a little bit different, so I'll be interested to see going forward if it's as usable as that X was for me, particularly on like a cliffed up house shot or a little bit slicker house shot where I could really straighten it out and just let it fly. Get yours September 23rd. Once again, stacking up to the High Road Pearl, I don't feel that this is a replacement, but it is a good complement. I think it's a good shell up from that High Road Pearl and a good ball down from that Infinite Physix. I know that's a really popular one in our area. I don't know if, I'm sure most of you watching probably have one or are interested in one. This for me is a great complement because it is a touch weaker. It is quite a bit further down the lane. So as that Infinite starts to hook a little early or starts to get a little flat or starts to not quite make it up the hill, I think the Night Road is a great ball to go to. You might have to move your feet right a little bit. So it's not just a perfect step down, but it is weaker where it would complement that really well. If you had an Infinite, a Night Road, and a spare ball, I think you'd be set for league most of the time, especially here in the Little Rock area. So once again, get yours September 23rd. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Storm Nation.